Welcome once again to the Certified Corporate Chaplain Training Module 10. I am Dr. Chamaka Ibej, and this is the College of Christian Professionals and Researchers, the Professional College of Brood Theological Seminary. In this module, we're going to be looking at chaplaincy in educational settings. Now, to the content of this module, we're going to be teaching you how to assist students, teachers, and staff with spiritual and emotional support. You will learn how to promote a safe and inclusive environment for spiritual growth. You will also be empowered as a chaplain to address educational challenges from a Christian perspective. At the introduction of this training, in Module 1, we saw the different places where a chaplain can be needed, such as the school, the hospital, the prison. In this module, we are going to focus more on the school chaplain. Now, a school chaplain is basically Christ's witness in a typically secularized educational setting. Now, this is someone who has been positioned in an educational setting by God to speak, to act, and love others on behalf of Christ. You are basically placed in that educational setting to be a representation of Christ. Acts chapter 1 verse 8 says, "And ye shall be witnesses unto me, both in Jerusalem and in all Judea, and in Samaria, and unto the uttermost parts of the earth." So you are there in this educational setting as a witness of Christ. A school chaplain is an agent of God's love and grace in the school. You must bear in mind that wherever God has positioned you as a chaplain, the school where God has sent you to, where God has made way for you to be the chaplain there, you are expected to be an agent of His love and grace in that school. You are expected to provide both emotional and spiritual care to the school staff and the students, as well as their families if need be. 1 John 4 verse 16 says, "God is love, and all who live in love live in God, and God lives in them." Now, what are your roles as a school chaplain? What is expected of you? Number one expectation that God has of you in that educational setting where He has placed you is to be His witness. In Acts chapter 1 verse 8, we were instructed to be witnesses to Christ to the uttermost parts of the earth. And as a Christian, in the role of a school chaplain, in any educational setting you find yourself, you must bear in mind that you have been sent there as a witness. Firstly, as a witness of Christ. That is your first and primary assignment in that educational setting. Now, a witness is someone who confirms the truth they have experienced or seen. As Christians, the Holy Spirit already confirmed the truth of the gospel to us. So this truth that you have received, so you in turn must now witness this truth that has been confirmed to you to others. So you must not keep it to yourself. You must have it in mind as you go into that educational sector that you are there to witness Christ. You are there to witness the gospel that you have received, that you have experienced. You are there to witness it. The second role of a school chaplain is to be an ambassador of Christ. You are there to act in the role of an ambassador, to be a representation of God to the people around you, to the students, to the staff, to their families. You have to represent the love of God. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 20 says, "So we are Christ's ambassadors. God is making His appeal through us. We speak for Christ. When we plead, come back to God." So you are speaking for Christ in that school. You have to speak for Him. You have to reconcile sinners back to God's will. You must never lose sight of this primary role you have there in the school as an ambassador. Make sure that in everything that you do, you are conscious and intentional about representing God's love, God's grace, God's glory, God's forgiveness to those around you. Your third role as a school chaplain is to be the good shepherd. In Matthew 18, 10-14, it highlights the parable of the lost sheep, where the Son of Man left the 99 to go after that lost sheep that strayed away from the flock. Every soul is precious to God. You must have the heart of a shepherd, the large heart to accommodate, to shepherd, to nurture, to care for God's people that He has appointed and trusted you with. Now keep these three things in mind, these three rules in mind as we go through this module. Now, what approach can you take as a school chaplain in that educational setting to effectively carry out the role and fulfill the assignments that God has given you? The approach that you will take as a school chaplain is a transformational approach. Remember that you are witnessing the gospel to this student, to this staff. And one of the amazing powers of the gospel is the transformational power to transform a man from the inside out. And that should be your desire over everyone that is in your flock, over every sheep that God has given, to see their life transformed. And how can this be done? By providing spiritual and pastoral care. Now, by virtue of the position that you occupy, people will look up to you as a spiritual leader. So you have to provide them with spiritual and pastoral care. How can you do this? By praying for them. Be ready to give spiritual guidance. Teach them the word of God. Build your relationship with them to the extent that they can easily come to you for spiritual counsel, for spiritual guidance. Show them how much you care about their spiritual growth. Have a pastoral heart. Approach it with a pastoral mindset. Remember that chaplaincy is a ministry. So be there to guide, to shepherd, to love, to care, to nurture, to help them grow in every area of their spiritual life. Next, by building a community of faith for both staff and students. It is very important to build a community because the life of faith thrives in a community of faith. So when you build a community of faith for the students and staff, it also helps to strengthen the work that you are doing. Aside your interpersonal relationship with them, you have to make intentional effort towards bringing them together, that you're able to do activities together, to grow together. By doing this, you will also attract many others to become a part of the community. Next, you have to create a structure whereby anyone and everyone can come to you, can come and be a part of the community, despite their religious background or their cultural background. But while doing this, you have to be careful to maintain a distinctive Christian approach. So it's the idea of making room for everyone, accommodating everyone without watering down your standard, without watering down biblical principles for them. So you have to create a system whereby there is room for everyone to come and be a part of the work you are doing in that location. Also approach your role as a school chaplain with the mindset of an intercessor. As a school chaplain, you will need to stand in the gap for the school, for the authorities, for the students, when they bring their burdens to you, when they come to pour their hearts to you, when they come to pour their concerns and their care to you. Remember that you cannot carry it alone. You need to return that burden. You need to carry and bear that burden up back to God, the one who sent you. Remember, you are working in a busy educational setting where the students are tasked to do assignments, to do projects. They may also have personal life issues, and these things may lead to stress, may lead to burnout. Expect that people will come to you to, just pour out their hearts, to let off some steam. So you have to be ready to give them the emotional care that they need. You have to be ready with the right words to say to them, the tips you can give them. For some people, you may have to help them with, how to properly manage their time so that the stress that they feel will be lessened. So these are some of the ways you can help your students and staff. Next, we are going to be looking at your competencies, the competencies that you need as a school chaplain. Your knowledge of the faith must be in-depth because it will play a major role in how you carry out your responsibilities as a school chaplain. Remember that your faith is at the core of everything you do. So you must have a personal, in-depth knowledge of this faith that you profess. You will also be dealing with very inquisitive students who will come to you with diverse questions. So if you do not have a deep understanding, how will you help them? How will you be able to be a proper representation of the faith if you do not understand it? So you must seek understanding of this Christian faith that you profess. What you don't have, you cannot give. So you ensure that you have a deeper understanding of the Christian faith. If you need to take courses that will enable you understand properly, if you need to ask questions from people that are more mature Christian than you, please by all means do such so that you can be better equipped to function in your role as a school chaplain. Next competency that you need is to have a very good reflection on the true meaning of life. Remember, you'll be dealing with students from different age groups. And some of these students are in their transformative stage of life where they need guidance on life. They need guidance to go through life and purpose. So when they come to you with questions that need answers, you need to be able to properly guide them on the right path, to properly counsel them on the right direction. So in order to do that, you yourself have to have this thorough understanding and reflection on the true meaning of life. What do you see life as? What do you think life should be? What do you make out of life? What is your approach to the different philosophies that people have about life? What is your idea? Are they based on the biblical perspective? So these are some of the things that you must be competent with as you approach your role as a school chaplain. Next, you have to have a strong appraisal of moral principles, values and ethics. You are going to be working in a secular system, a secular educational setting. And in this kind of setting, it is very easy to lose guard on moral principles because there will be students and staff coming from diverse backgrounds, nationalities, religious differences and cultural differences, all coming together with their different moral perspectives. So as a school chaplain, as the ambassador of God in that school, you must uphold the right morals, the right principles, the right values, and be an example for them and teach them those right things so that they can walk in a manner that is right and in a manner that will please God. So it is very important that you have a strong appraisal of moral principles. You must not be someone who sits on the fence when it comes to moral issues or ethical issues or values. People must be able to tell that this is where you stand, this is where you are camped at, this is the principles that you are abiding by, this is the principles that you consider to be right. You have to have a strong appraisal of this value system, of this moral principle, so that you can pass it on, so that you can create an impression on their young mind on the right things to do, on the right morals and principles, values and ethics. The next competency you must have as a school chaplain is to be able to engage in interfaith dialogue and basic apologetic competency. Like I mentioned previously, you are going to be engaging with students from diverse backgrounds, and these young minds are very inquisitive. They will come to you with diverse questions, and as Christ ambassador, you must be able to defend the kingdom of God that you profess. At least the very basic apologetic knowledge is important to you as a school chaplain. People should be able to know that when they come to you with some hard and difficult questions, you'll be able to give and profile the right answer, the right solution, and the proper guidance. If you need to take courses, apologetic courses that will help you to be able to defend the Christian faith, please do so. As a school chaplain, make sure you do your part to study the scriptures, study. You can even check online what are the popular dialogue, what are the popular questions that people ask about the Christian faith. Basic knowledge at the start point for you is important, so that whenever the need arises, you will be able to give a reasonable answer. You may not know it all, but at least there will be something that you can say. At the very least, you should have answers to very basic and common dialogues and questions. Moving on, what are the basic needs of a school chaplain? Curiosity. Now you may be surprised and wonder, why do you need to be curious? Why is it a basic need for a school chaplain? But I tell you that sometimes people will not open up to you until you ask certain questions. So as a school chaplain who has been appointed, who have been given charge over this students, you have to be curious enough to ask the right questions to know what is going on in their life. Simple questions like, how was your day? Are you having any difficulties? Are there any challenges? How is the preparation for the exam? These are some of the questions that you can ask the students to enable them open up to you, because if they do not open up to you, there will be a limit to how much you can be able to intervene in their life. You must be genuinely curious with the intent to help and follow through with whatever answer they give you. Another basic need of a school chaplain is creativity. Now we live in an ever-evolving world, and for the most part, the students in these days are Generation Z, the young generations that have been born in the era of technology. If you are observant, you'll notice that in this day there is this creativity, a sort of creativity among the young mind. Now you would need this in your role as a school chaplain. You have to embrace creative ideas to engage these students effectively. Another basic need of a school chaplain is community. You need your own community, a group of people that can support you, that can help you, that can offer you counsel when need be, that can guide you, that can call you to order. So community is very important. Do not be a lone ranger in this work. That is not the intention of God for you. Find a community that can hold your hand as you take on this role of a school chaplain. Another basic need is commitment. You need to be committed to the work. As was mentioned in the introductory module of this course, it is a ministry. Chaplaincy is a ministry. Do not take it for granted. It is a work of God, so do it committedly. Put your whole heart to it. Be diligent to it. You see, one thing that happens when you are committed to the work of God is that you are opened up to divine participation. God begins to partner with you in that work to make it more effective. He makes it easier for you. So when you pray for students, He will even begin to reveal things about specific students and situations to you to make your work easier. But if you are not committed to the work, you have not earned the trust of heaven. So you need to be committed. Do the work as unto the Lord. Be committed. It's a very basic need. There are times where it will be just your commitment that will keep you going. That sense of commitment that will keep driving you daily as you attend and address one student's need from the other. So make sure to build commitment. Take this as a ministry and run with it, and the Lord will definitely reward you. Next, we are going to be looking at the core values you need as a school chaplain. First, faith. Your faith. Faith is the foundation of everything you are doing as a school chaplain. 1 Thessalonians 1 verse 3 says, we remember before our God and Father your work produced by faith, your labor prompted by love, and by endurance inspired by hope in the Lord Jesus Christ. So your work as a school chaplain should be an outflow of your faith, an outflow of the faith you profess, an outflow of your faith in God. So it must be one of your core values. It cannot be negotiated. Next, you need love. You need to imbibe the value of love. Galatians 5 verse 13 says, for you, brethren, have been called to liberty. Only do not use liberty as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another. So in your service in that office as a school chaplain, you must serve with love, the kind of unconditional love that you have enjoyed from God. You must be willing to pour out that measure of love to the people that God has entrusted into your hands. You have to be a person of love. You have to represent God. Remember that God is love, and as His ambassador, that love should be reflected in your life. People around you should be able to feel the love of God through you, through your actions, through your words, through your intentions towards them. Next core value is peace. 2 Corinthians 13 verse 11 says, finally, brothers and sisters, rejoice, strive for full restoration, encourage one another, be of one mind, live in peace, and the God of love and peace will be with you. As a school chaplain, you must embrace peace with all men. You must pursue peace. You must promote peace. It must be a core value. At all times, promote peace. Our God is a God of love and a God of peace. So in your dealings with people, as you mediate, as you intercede, as you interact with the student and the staff, your goal should be to ensure peace, to promote peace at all times. Next is justice, the core value of justice. In Isaiah 1 verse 17, we are told to learn to do good and seek justice. As a school chaplain, people will come to you sometimes to settle issues. You must be intentional about promoting justice. Do not be unfair. Do not be partial, because our God is a God of justice. So you must be a value that you uphold at all times in your office as a school chaplain. Next is equality. As a school chaplain, you must endeavor to treat all men equally. So you are in a setting whereby you will meet students and people from diverse backgrounds, some from rich homes, some from struggling homes. In your dealings with them, you must treat them equally. Do not try to favor one above the other. It is not an attribute of God. Deuteronomy 10 verse 17 shows that is not an attribute of God, because God, it says in Deuteronomy 10 verse 17 that the Lord is your God. He is the God of gods and Lord of lords. He is the great God. He is the amazing and powerful fighter. To him, everyone is the same. So to you, everyone should be the same. If you truly are a representative of God in that school, you have to treat every single soul you meet equally. Carry out your duties with justice and equality. Another value you need as a school chaplain is teamwork. You cannot do the work all by yourself. It is an educational setting. You have to know at what point to involve the teachers, at what point to involve parents. It is a teamwork. Embrace a team mindset. There will be time when you need to involve others for the benefit of a student. Please do so. Reach out for help. Reach out for collaboration. Ecclesiastes 4 verse 9 says 2 are better than 1. So know when to involve others as you carry out your role as a school chaplain. Next is the value of generosity. If you are going to be working in an educational setting, you must prepare your mind that people will come to you narrating different ways that they need help. Some people will be direct, they will go straight to the point. Others may not be direct, but you have to be sensitive and compassionate enough to help when you can help. So you must be willing to give generously to the people. As you give unto them, remember that you are giving unto the Lord. So you need to have that value of generosity. It makes it easier for you. It becomes like an outflow. You can easily help people without holding back. Then forgiveness. Forgiveness is very important because you will be offended. You are dealing with human beings. Human beings are imperfect. Even people that you are trying to help may at times offend you. So you must have a large heart. That's one of the qualities of a shepherd. You have to have a large heart to accommodate and to forgive people. Remember that Jesus is a perfect example, and he exemplified forgiveness when he died for us on the cross of Calvary. Now, he's not even asking that you give your life for others because he has already done that. But in your little ways, be sure to give out forgiveness. Imbibe that value of forgiveness. You should not be someone who hold on to grievances. It will negatively impact the work that you are doing in that educational setting. Also remember that you are setting an example for others. So if you do not already have that value of forgiveness, how can you give it on? How can you pass it on? How can you teach others to forgive? You cannot give what you do not have. Colossians 3 verse 13 says, bearing with one another and forgiving one another if any has a complaint against one another, even as Christ forgive you, so you also must do. Lastly, looking at the core values you should imbibe as a school chaplain is thankfulness. The Bible says we should come to God, we should come to his gates with thanksgiving. In everything, give thanks. It is an instruction, it is a value system that you must uphold. Imbibe the heart and the posture of gratitude as you carry out your role. Be grateful for the privilege that God has given you. It's a privilege really to be involved in the lives of students, of staff, of many people. It's a privilege that you must recognize and be thankful for. Moving on, we are going to be discussing the special functions of a school chaplain. What are the special functions that you'll be expected to carry out as a chaplain in an educational setting? Listening. Listening is very important. You have to be ready to listen. You have to be a listener because people are going to come to you to pour out their hearts. So you must position yourself to be approachable, that when people come to you, you can listen to them. Listen to them carefully. Listen to them without interrupting them. Allow them to speak from their heart. Allow them to say everything they want to say, even if you know where they are going to or where the whole story will end in. Still give people room to talk. So you must be an active listener. It's a very important function as a school chaplain. Next is counseling. After listening, it's time to give counsel. So you need to be a wise counselor and a good counselor. Remember that for some people, they'll be hanging on to your word. They are ready to follow everything you say. So you must be ready to give good counsel. If you need to take courses on counsel to sharpen your counseling skills, please do so, as it will help you to carry out your role effectively. Another function is intercession. You need to be an intercessor. There are problems and situations people will present to you that you are not able to help. Carry such problems to God. God is the one who appointed you and sent you there. You are working for God. So don't try to do everything by yourself. Report back to your master. Let God fix it. God is the one who will fix it. You are limited in your capacity to do much. So ensure that you intercede for people, intercede for their souls, intercede for the school, intercede for the system. Present their problem, their burdens back to God. And another function that your role as a school chaplain will require you to carry out is restorative justice. Now, this is a victim to offender communication approach to solving issues. In restorative justice, the offender takes responsibility for their actions. They are meant to see how their actions harmed the victim. The victim is also compensated for the action, and this restorative justice allows the offender to be reintegrated back into the society. So as a school chaplain, you will have to carry out this function. You may need to mediate between the victim and the offender to ensure that the offender takes responsibility and the victim is compensated, and there is repair of whatever damage is done or whatever harm was done, as much as is within your capacity and as much as the situation will permit, and then the victim is reintegrated back into the society. Remember that the aim of the gospel is not to condemn anyone, but to restore. So you must have that mindset. You must be able to function in this capacity as a school chaplain. Next is celebrations. You should be able to celebrate with people, celebrate with your students, celebrate with their staff. Be intentional about it, so that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And one of the ways to show people that you care is by being present in their days of celebration. Next is charity. I already explained how one of the core values you need is generosity, because people will come to you with their needs. You cannot escape it. It is part of the human nature to try to, seek help. And you can't really blame them, because they actually need help. Getting into the office of a school chaplain, you will be involved in diverse levels of charity. So be prepared for that and do as much as you can within your capacity and as God enables you. Your next special function as a school chaplain is to offer support in time of crisis. You will be called upon, you will be looked upon to offer support when people are in crisis. It could be grief, or people who are going through certain situations of life or sickness. So you must be willing to be a shoulder for people to lean upon when they're in crisis. Be there for them as much as you can, as much as the situation permits you. Now we'll be looking at some of the special concerns that you may see as a school chaplain. First is the search for genuine friendships and relationships. Most of the students will be at stages in their life where they are trying to build meaningful connections and where they are trying to have a sense of belonging. You have to be prepared to offer them guidance in this delicate period, because the association, the kind of friendships they have or relationships they maintain can go a long way in determining how their future will look like. So you must be ready to teach them the importance of genuine relationships and friendship, and how to maintain, how to find such friendship, how to build such relationships, and how to maintain it. So you need to offer them guidance in order for them to not make certain mistakes in this area. And another special concern is the information overload and media-driven pressure. As a school chaplain, you'll be concerned with the informations that these students are being exposed to. You may not be able to, limit their exposure, but you can teach them on how to control the things that they expose themselves to. You can teach them on what to watch and what not to watch. You can show them how some of these things can negatively impact and affect them. You might also need to work together with their parents or the school management to foster ways to help these students, to protect them from the negative impacts of media-driven pressures. Maybe the school can organize, special programs where trained counselors can come to talk to the students to help them to overcome some of these pressures at an early age. Another concern that you might have as a school chaplain is the unhealthy exposures that these students have and security concerns from global communication. These are very legitimate concerns. For most of these concerns, you might not be able to single-handedly address, and that is why we emphasized earlier on the importance of teamwork. So you need to come together with the management, with the students, to be able to protect them from these unhealthy exposures. For example, you can have a meeting with the parents where you can tell them about these things and help them to enforce parental guidance of their children. Another concern that you might have as their school chaplain is the stress-related and performance issues that these students may have based on the workload they have, the activities they have to go through in school. So you should be able to, work together with the school management to find systems that will help and encourage relaxation for these students, or ways to structure the system in a way that they will be able to handle the tasks at their different levels and at their different growth rates. Next, we'll be looking at student chaplaincy. So the chaplain is saddled with the responsibility to deliver engaging and age-appropriate opportunities for worship and reflection. Remember that one size does not necessarily fit all when it comes to dealing with human beings, because at different levels and stages of life, there are unique needs of each individual. So you must embrace this mindset as you work out your role in student chaplaincy. Looking at a primary school setting, for instance, some of the ways that you can deliver engaging and age-appropriate opportunities for the students is by having morning assemblies at the beginning of each school day, creating a time for where they can share stories that will pass across moral and spiritual themes. Stories that can remind them of the spiritual lessons and the moral lessons that they have learned. You can also have art and craft sessions related to themes of spirituality, kindness, love, gratitude, peace. You can also create outdoors opportunity where students can reflect on the wonders of creation. For example, you can tell them to go out and begin to draw nature, to put their eyes on one act of God, one thing that God created, and just draw it, and then come back and explain what that drawing means to them. Some of these activities can help to reinforce the things that you already have taught these children. Another example is to create age-appropriate community service project that can foster empathy, compassion, and a sense of responsibility towards others. Then moving on to the secondary school setting. Now this is a more advanced age group, so of course the approach will be a little bit more advanced than the primary school setting. In a secondary school setting, one of some of the things that can be done is to create fellowship gatherings to teach on spiritual and ethical issues, have a one-on-one counseling session to address personal life issues of the students. Creating counseling session is a good way to proffer guidance and help them walk through this intricate and delicate stage of their life. You can also have peer support groups where students can discuss common challenges and seek guidance and receive emotional support. You can also create debates or discussions on ethical dilemmas relevant to contemporary issues that are, relatable to the students of this age. Create debate and discussion. Let them discuss and then give your input. You can also create opportunities for students to express their spiritual journey or reflection through speaking and writing. So you can engage, you can host a program and then give the students opportunities to just go up there and share their reflections, share their testimonies. It can be through speaking, it can be through writing essays. Now moving on to the tertiary school setting. This is a more advanced setting. Here you can create regular programs and services on campus, including weekly worship services, Bible study, and prayer meetings. You can have counseling, pastoral care, and spiritual guidance tailored to meet the diverse needs of college students. Again, one size does not fit all. The challenges of one person is likely not to be the challenge of the other. So you have to embrace and create room for people to express their diverse needs to you so that you can offer them correct spiritual guidance, pastoral care, and counseling. Also, you can organize retreats, workshops, and seminars that are focused on spiritual growth, self-discovery, and holistic well-being. You can even invite guest speakers to come and teach. You can also allow the students to experience ministry moments where they apply their knowledge, skills, and spiritual giftings. So, for example, you can organize mission trips and just give them room to express the things that you have, impacted in their life, the knowledge, the skills, and the spiritual gifting. Give them room to fly. Give them room to make mistakes while you're watching over them, so you can correct that mistake, and it will help them grow to become better in life. You can also organize discipleship programs where older students will minister to the younger students. Now, as a chaplain, you will step into the role of a mentor. It is a natural flow of events in most cases, because at some point, the student or the staff will come to rely on you for counsel. They'll come to, trust you for counsel and guidance. So at this point, you're taking on the role of a mentor in their lives. And one of the things you must have in mind is, as you mentor these students, you have to provide spiritual guidance, support, and encouragement for them. You have to help them find meaningful purpose and connection in their life. Help them walk through the process, teach them, and hold their hands as you mentor them through the process of finding meaning and purpose and connection in their lives. You also need to be a listening ear to them, be empathetic toward them, and compassionate, especially in times of emotional distress. So these are some of the things that will be expected of you as you mentor these students. As you offer mentorship to the student, bear in mind that they will not always be with you. They will not always have you around them, because they are going into different phases and levels of life, year in, year out. So you must ensure that you pour into them ethical and moral values that will guide them in decision making in the future and in their actions. So pour yourself into them, the values that you have imbibed over the years as you grow in Christ. Pour it into them, so that as you release them into the world, they are going out there to make Jesus proud. You also need to encourage them to take their personal growth and development seriously, so that they can be whole as an individual, so that they can step into leadership opportunities and they can properly serve in whatever field that God will send them into. You also need to provide professional and vocational guidance for these students. Some of them will need this guidance to help them align their professional aspiration with their values, their passions, and sense of calling. Again, this will require teamwork in most cases. So you need to work together with the authority, with the management. It could be that a vocational workshop will be created, or courses that are centered in this area to just help the students align their professional aspirations. Now, as we round up this module, there are some special notes that we need to take into consideration as you begin your work as a school chaplain in whatever location that you are in. Now, take note that this particular set of notes that have been spelled out in this module are specific to public schools in the United States. So you do well to make your own findings based on your location. Romans 13 verse 1 says, "Let every soul be subject to the governing authorities." So it is wise and noble of you to abide by the rules that the governing authority has set in place in their public schools. Now, for the United States, public school district administrators, principals, and teachers are not allowed to participate in the distribution of religious materials, including permitting religious groups to have classroom time to distribute materials. Students are generally permitted to distribute religious materials so long as it is done between classes, at recess, or during free time, and so long as the student aren't simply acting as agents for adults in doing so. Teachers and other public school officials may not lead their classes in prayers, devotional readings from the Bible, or other religious activities. They also are prohibited from encouraging prayer, witnessing, and actively participating in such activities with students. Teachers may take part in religious activities where the overall context makes clear that it's not in their official capacities. Before school or during lunch, for example, teachers may meet for prayer or Bible study to the same extent that they may engage in other conversation or non-religious activities. Although the Constitution forbids public school officials from directing or favoring prayer, students do not shed their constitutional rights to freedom of speech or expression at the schoolhouse gates. Private religious speech is as fully protected under the Free Speech Clause as secular private expression. Nothing in the Constitution prohibits any public school student from voluntarily praying at any time before, during, or after school day, and students may pray with fellow students during the school day on the same terms and conditions that they may engage in other conversation or speech. Again, remember this is specific to public schools in the United States, so you have to do your own research based on your location to know what is permissible in your location and do your best to abide by it. I know the Lord will give you the grace and the wisdom to navigate some of these rules in your location. Thank you for listening to the end of this module. I'm sure that you have been greatly blessed and more prepared to take on your role as a school chaplain. We would like to know where you're listening in from, so please kindly let us know in the comment section. Our contact details are also on your screen, so please contact us at your free time. We'll be waiting to hear from you. Goodbye and see you in the next module. God bless you.